coincidentally, I grew up with my dad, who has alopecia totalis, and I grew up quite worried that I would lose my hair, and then when I did, I had nothing else to worry about, which is
it's like
quite
a self-prophecy gift.
Yeah, it was because I thought, genetically it's quite likely to happen. And it started during a really difficult time when I was getting divorced with thyroid issues. So it was part of a kind of plethora of stuff that was going on around me. And I think just getting through that in itself was empowering. Wigs absolutely are so empowering. I mean, I always had quite thin hair anyway, so I now have dream hair, which is just lovely. I love the femininity of it, in terms of just changing one's look, having all these wigs. It's just so exciting. It's part of dress up. And I definitely agree, just shaving my head, because I do have total hair loss, is empowering in itself, because then you've kind of got this additional look, I think. And I don't think I've worried about relationships particularly, and that might just be my luck coming across people who just accept it. I think my fiance is just the most loving person and enjoys the fun that I do in the wigs. There's possibly something about having a partner who can change their look as well. It's quite exciting, maybe.
My partner likes that as well.
Yeah. And that's empowering, right?
Yeah.
I think, I just always think of it as life's too short to be uncomfortable on the beach, life's too short to be worried about what others think, because ultimately most people are being too self-conscious about themselves to even notice. And there's so much acceptance and curiosity about it. I quite enjoy people asking me, having the conversations. I think the last thing I'll say that's been empowering is definitely social media. And before, only a few years ago, I think wig wearing was still a lot more hidden than it is now. And I think due to COVID hair loss, due to people being more visible with their differences, as well as celebrities and wigs being kind of more commonly worn, it means that social media has normalised it. But also only a few years ago, I'd have ladies who were really ashamed about their hair loss, just messaging me, strangers, to ask for advice or share how they were feeling. And I found that incredibly empowering, just being able to just say some words that hopefully, albeit maybe only ever so slightly, but could make someone feel a bit better about themselves. I think that reaction of almost pity, for me, is a bit of a misconception, and the thing about that you would do anything to get your hair back, whereas no, I wouldn't. It doesn't bother me day to day, and as I say, I've got better hair in my view than
what you could ever have
previously. I know it's well-meaning, but sometimes that unsolicited advice about have you taken this supplement, tried that, it's because you don't have a good enough diet, or it's because you're vegetarian, and you just think, well, no, it's an autoimmune condition, at least in my case. And
me too.
But I guess I would say that you're so much more than your hair loss, so to look outward as well, because it can become a bit obsessional at the beginning. You're checking, you're paranoid, you're kind of worried if you try wigs, what does this look like, and that takes us away from being outwards looking and looking at the bigger picture of life, which is so many things. It's our relationships, it's our profession, it's our hobbies. So I would urge people who are going through it and perhaps feeling quite distressed by it to just initially distract and look beyond to all the other things that they are, and then eventually, I think for most of us, the acceptance of hair loss does eventually come. So I used to wear wigs out before I started losing hair.
Oh,
yes.
Did you?
I did,
Wow.
So it was just, I've got an excuse to buy more and higher quality ones. It was on and off with my hair loss, the daily wear. So when I was pregnant with my third, my hair grew back really quite nicely. So I stopped wearing wigs then, and I dyed it as well. Like, you know, and I thought maybe this is my last bit of joy with my bio hair. And then when it started falling out again, I then started wearing wigs full time again. So it's been kind of on and off around, pregnancy. But I haven't looked back since I wore them. I think initially you do feel it's like you're wearing a hat. You know, the poorer quality wigs can be a bit itchy. But very soon, I'd say like within a week of daily wear, I'd feel like if I'm without a wig, that feels a bit odd. I think that's the really sad bit, because it is a position of privilege to be able to afford wigs.
Yeah, it is.
That not everybody has that privilege. I think more could be done on the NHS in terms of funding, free wigs per year. I think Scotland has a slightly better initiative in terms of what's offered on their National Health Service. I do recognise, you know, I'm quite lucky in that I can afford wigs. I could probably, you know, have bought a medium-sized house with that much expense. So I dare not think like how much money I've spent on wigs. You know, whether that's wise spending is another question. But it becomes such a love and such a hobby. Go with brunettes and reds, mainly brunettes. Different styles, different lengths, but not for work. So for work, I keep the same wig pretty much. And the only reason for that is because I'm on so many Teams meetings throughout the day, and I meet so many people, to have that conversation. Oh, you've done your hair, you know, like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
It just becomes a bit tiresome. Not that I mind talking about it, but it detracts, you know. And then I start the alopecia story, and it's like, will she ever shut up about it? So I just stick to a similar style, and then I'll like gradually phase it out. And wear a very similar wig but slightly different, so do that if I want it, so it looks a bit like a haircut, you know. But at the weekend I'm all sorts of people.